Direct Service Garage Doors, we are your one-stop shop for all things garage door. From garage door repair and broken spring replacement to new garage doors and openers, we do it all. We're proud to be among the highest-rated local garage door companies in all of Central Arkansas. Our highly trained technicians are available 24 hours a day at no extra cost to you. So if you have an emergency, call us today, 501-244-3667, or visit our website at directserviceoverhead.com. Don't wait days. We'll fix it now.
All right, welcome everybody. I don't want to say it, but I'm going to have to say it. Happy Monday. Ugh. Gross. All right. Listen, if you're a Patreon supporter and you're in here right now, you need to make sure you pay attention to Patreon at 1 o'clock. We're going to have somebody on special. We're going to talk about that. That's for Patreon supporters only. Let's do this. 3, 2, 1. Yo, wake up. It's Monday, baby. Arkansas. Yeah, we got breaking news, of course, as we look into the light. Arkansas gains a basketball commit. They have landed Ellis out of the transfer portal. Razorback basketball, ladies and gentlemen. Eric Musselman is thriving in the portal. Oh. Don't ask me why thought I would do something a little different for this one. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe. We got to make sure we get the logo on the front of the hat. All right, Mr. T-Dub, long time no see, man. I hope you're doing swell. It's good seeing you here. What up, Chris G, Will Bowler, John Hawes, of course. Honcho Razorback, Ellis is a hog. Yeah, maybe I should put that in the title. Ellis is a hog. Of course, this happens at 11 o'clock, right as we go live. Hang on just a second. Let me add him to the. We're gonna have to take a name off here. We're just gonna put Ellis in the tags down there. Some of you, I know a lot of you are probably here for football, and you're like, yeah, I don't really care about basketball, but why is it telling me it's limited? That's interesting. My monetization for this live stream is limited, according to YouTube. That's fascinating. I wonder what's going on there. Aaron Harbison with the $10 super chat. Love seeing Patreon supporter list getting big enough to have to change the layout. Ellis is a hog. Let's go. Guards for days. I think, yeah. Well, how many guards is that now? 17? What's up, Shades? What's going on? What's going on? You know what? I'm going to add this to the title. Hang on. Ellis is a Razorback. Man. That's incredible. I mean, okay. Yeah, the Patreon list just continues to grow. We're at like 54 people now. So for anyone who's wondering about Ellis, we're going to get to him in just a second. Again, this just all kind of hit me out of nowhere. Why Ty depressed like he's nursing a hangover? You know what? I was wearing the hoodie, and I had my hat on, and I just got back from Harps. I had to go get a refill on these rain storms, these sugar-free drinks, energy drinks. It's a little nippy outside, and I just sat down. I threw the hoodie over. I'm digging it, man. I don't know, doing something different. I'll bully everyone into Jordan. We don't need to bully anybody. The Patreon chat by itself, and the target list, the Patreon target list sells itself. But the stuff that's being talked about over there is what's selling it. But I do appreciate you guys who are marketing. I got marketing gurus in my Discord. John Haas and Will Austin does a good job with it as well. Paul, I see you guys. You guys who are pimping that Tuss Talk with Ty Patreon. Speaking of sponsors and Patreon supporters, this is not able to happen without Patreon supporters and of course sponsors. Direct Service Overhead, the Garage Door Company. If you've got a garage and you're located in Northwest Arkansas or Central Arkansas and plenty of other places as well, except Star City. Sorry, Austin. Free estimates, quality parts, affordable outcomes, hundreds of 5-star reviews, better than best results. Give Direct Service Overhead, the Garage Door Company, a call, 501-244-3667. And, of course, the Apex Tattoo Studio. Give them a call. Get an appointment set up, 479-278-2694. Tap-out sessions are available. Mention Tuss Talk with Ty. You get 10% off. We all know how expensive it can get to get a little ink done. We know it's expensive. Why don't you give Apex Tattoo Studio a call, or of course, walk-ins are welcome. And you mention Tuss Talk with Ty, you're getting 10% off. They're at 201 South 19th Street in Rogers, Arkansas. We've already got a super chat. Man, we're off to a good start. We're off to a pretty good start. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe. I appreciate it when you guys share the content. Sharing is caring, and it goes a long ways. Ellis is a Razorback. Man, I was going to start off with baseball talk, but why not? Let's start off with Ellis, 6'3", 180-pound senior guard out of Durham, North Carolina. He played for Louisville last year, averaged close to 18 points a game, 3 rebounds, and almost 4.5 assists a game while shooting 41%. This is huge. Ellis is the guy. I mean, they wanted Ellis. He wore number 3 for Louisville last year. Ads are so funny. You look up Litter Robot one time. You look up Litter Robot one time on Facebook to find their Facebook page. Or maybe it was on Twitter. I don't know where I looked them up. And now their ads are just everywhere on my computer. I don't care that your cat's shits no longer stink, Karen. Stop sending me these ads. They're everywhere. Damn you, algorithm. Damn you. He averaged 36 minutes a game. Again, he shot 41%. He was 32% outside. Yet again, another 80% free throw shooter here. He turned the ball over a lot. I don't know if you guys, that is something we need to look at. He has as many turnovers a game as he does assists, or right there close to it. That is a little bit concerning. Seeing that 3.8 turnover per game, that's a lot. That's not great. Not terrible. We've seen worse. We know Anthony Black got careless with the ball, and Devo at times, especially early on in the season, Devo had a pretty good turnover. Was he averaging like 3 turnovers a game or something for a while? But, I mean, turnovers were not a huge issue with Arkansas. Where were they? In the 12 category? 12 turnovers a game, which isn't great. Maybe it was 13. It was, regardless, it wasn't atrocious, right? It wasn't 15, 16 turnovers a game, but it was still like definitely not where Musselman wanted it. This guy's close to 4 turnovers a game, and that's based on 32 games played at 36 minutes. You love the 81% free throw shooting. You love the 4.4 assists, almost 18 points a game. Pretty big increase from the 2021 to 2022 season to the 2022-2023 seasons, right? The 2 years of college ball he's played. He goes from 8.7 points a game at 20.5 minutes played to then almost 18, almost 10 more points a game. That's a good jump there. Of course, that helps when you're getting 16 more minutes a game. Yeah, his turnover numbers are not sexy. And those, obviously, with more minutes played, those numbers more than doubled. So, again, that's something that they'll need to keep an eye on. Aaron with holy crap. All right, we have the tie for the largest super chat. Trouble with the Cur with a $50 super chat. Holy cow. Oh, it says I can celebrate that. How do I celebrate it, YouTube? What do I do? Can I, like, push? Wow, thank you for the super chat. Holy crap. Didn't know Ty could transform into the Macho Man. Oh, yeah. I ate a Slim Jim the other day. Thank you for the super chat. Holy crap. Trouble with the curve. I appreciate that. Aaron Harbison with a $5 super chat says, so who else is leaving? Now is the real question. So you're talking about football. Yeah, we're going to dive into that in just a second. Yeah, we just snagged Ellis. We sure did. I put it in the title. It happened afterwards, or I would have put him on the thumbnail. It happened after I went live, or I would have had him on the thumbnail. Ty looks like he's going to crash a new broadcast with obscenities. That is terrible. That's horrible. Oh, my goodness. Oh, yeah. I'm calling it Hogs basketball, winning it all next season. We are stacked. I hadn't even thought about it. I wasn't even going to talk basketball on this one at all. But that is huge. You can't not talk about Ellis. That is a big get. Louisville fans are, of course, I'm assuming they're butthurt. I would be too. This also makes you wonder what is happening with Devo. Maybe that was a basketball question about the transfer portal a minute ago. Makes you wonder what's going on with Devo. Is Devo, what is his deal? Is he leaving? I hope not. Mike and them says Ellis creates his own shot. I did watch, when I heard his name pop up on the radar, actually it was our Patreon chat that I hadn't had much interaction with basketball, with the portal a whole lot because I've been so consumed with football and, going to all the practices and we had the scrimmage on Saturday. I hadn't really paid a whole lot of attention. My thing was okay, once the dust settles, we're going to go back and we're going to go over this roster. I know that's not the right approach. You're supposed to do this, like, you need to really go over what could possibly be happening. If you're a content creator for Arkansas sports, you need to go over the possibilities. The thing is I'm a one-man show, and I'm really focused on football. So my goal was, all right, after all this, when the dust settles, when spring is over with, and once the dust settles on the transfer portal for basketball, once we have an idea of really what this team is going to look like, I mean, we already have a pretty good idea, then we're going to go back and we're going to talk basketball. But this today, I mean, yeah, that was huge, and it sounded like yesterday Ellis was going to commit. It was only a matter of time. But he had to do everything for Louisville, right? Yeah, he was on a bad Louisville team, carried that team as best as he could. We all know Arkansas's had some really good players, like one player on a really bad team. We've seen that happen here before. Will Bowler says the importer strikes again. I'm telling you, brother. Connor says, he was on Louisville. I don't know. Connor, you're the UConn fan, right? Aren't you the UConn guy? What is this in reference to? Why in the hell does he keep bringing guards in? Yeah, I don't know that you pass up on. I don't know why you pass up on L. I don't think that you do that. Here's our odd soul poll. This is a good one. After spring camp, I thought about this one. Arkansas offense will average 35 points per game in 2023. Now, 35 used to be really good. Used to be like great. That was the high octane offenses 10, 15 years ago. Now it's like it's where Kendall couldn't get Arkansas to. Kendall couldn't do that. He couldn't do it. Not at the end of the year when the dust settles on the season, talking about dust over and over. When the dust settled on the football season, regular season, they struggled getting to 35 points. Now, I think after the KU game, I think it put Arkansas at 34.5. I can't remember. Regardless, Kendall struggled to get there, right? At any point during the season, could he maintain, when you talk about just the points per game, he couldn't do that week in and week out. Right now, we don't have a whole lot of votes, so if you haven't voted yet, go vote. And again, make sure you like, share, subscribe. I know some of you guys, not a big deal for you, but I'd really appreciate if you guys would share the content. It does a lot for the show. We continue to grow too, by the way. We hit the 1 million total views. When was that? 2 weeks ago? And then we just keep jumping in subscribers. Man, I appreciate you guys. Again, 66% of you right now are believe that they will have 30. The offense is going to be better in terms of points. Aaron Harbison with another super chat. If Muss had enough roster spots, he would get every player that enters the portal. I think he would definitely get the ones. I think he's on the short list for all of them. I mean, really. How many did they offer? 62? 75? I'm ready for a front court person. Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do with the 4 and the 5 spot. I mean, I know they're psyched about Brazil, but I don't know, man. We will have the most guard depth of any team of all time. What if that's the regular? He just goes out there with four guards and like Brazil. That's just going to be their matchup. And when you have length, you can go guard heavy, right? When you've got length, or you want to be able to switch it up, right? When you want to be able to switch up what you have on the floor, it's nice to have smaller, more athletic guards, guys that could probably stop and pop, right? Good backdoor cutters, guys that can really that could be utilized because of their speed and their athleticism, and because of their maybe they're 6'2", 6'3" guards. They're not one of these 6'5", 6'6" lengthy guys. Maybe they don't have the longest arms and the biggest hands in the world, but they're quick. They could play just unrelenting perimeter defense. Devo wasn't a big guard necessarily, right? Guys that they could become decent or even good two-way players. And then you have just your defensive, kind of what Devo was his freshman and sophomore year. He was just a great defensive player, right? This year he found a little bit of offense. He found that he could knock down the mid-range. He found that he had a little bit of a three ball. He could knock down a couple threes in a game. And all of a sudden the dynamics of who Devo was, it changed everything for Arkansas on the floor. I would argue that, especially in conference play, Devo was a huge part, maybe the part, maybe one of the best two-way players, or at least one of the most underrated two-way players in all of college basketball. And he carried Arkansas for a while, man. Yeah, he wasn't going to have 20. He wasn't going to score 18, 19 points a game, but he could carry Arkansas. And then we know what Ricky Council was before that, and then in the tournament, Council was a big deal. But it's nice where you can have someone like that, or you can maybe switch it up. You can go bigger, you can go smaller, you can mismatch, you can find the right matchup, and especially when you have length. And then you get one of these freak guards who we thought Nick Smith was going to become, where they're fantastic two-way players. I know he didn't necessarily have – I don't remember what the rap sheet was on him as far as defense out of high school. I mean, we all know he was a McDonald's All-American. That says something, right? But we thought Nick Smith was going to be that guy who was just elite up and down the floor, fast, quick hands, could play. He could be a combo guard. He could be a point. You could have him at the 1 or the 2. You could kind of do whatever you wanted with Nick Smith. Never really saw that, Whoa, we got another. Holy crap. Trouble with the curve with another $50 super chat. My goodness. Final Four bound, Ty. Wow. We're at $120 on this chat. That's unreal. Appreciate that. Man, that's awesome. Caleb Christian says, I just think it's important to build around a front court, then work your way out. Just look at UConn's front court this past season. Yeah, I mean, not everybody has a Sinago, though, right? Not everybody has that option. He was special for them. Wow. It was special. If you guys have any questions or comments, please fire away. Appreciate John. John says, y'all need to join Patreon if you want to see that quarterback show after this one. It's going to be full of insight. It's going to be interesting. We know that there's only so much you can take from the spring scrimmage, right? There's only so much you can take. I do think you saw, and listen, I think you saw a good portion of what this offense is going to look like in fall. Sam kind of hinted to that. We're just going to go out there. Everyone knows who Enos is. Everyone knows what he did at Maryland. Everyone knows kind of what they want to do a little bit. he's kind of throwing the gloves off this year. You know, last year was a lot of secrecy. You know, and I think that's kind of Sam's thing. You know, doesn't want to throw everything out there. Everyone's like that. A lot of coaches are like that these days. Football me, baby. What? What? Man, I've been looking forward to QB Spotlight. Calm down, Vader. Tim, I'll talk to you. I think you're still in the chat. I'll Marco Polo you. I'll Marco Polo you, my man. What's up, my bearded homie? How you doing, Pigpen? Woo Pig Suey. All right, so yeah, we'll close it out with that. Well, with the basketball talk. I hadn't intended on starting there, but that happened right as we went live. Ellis out of Louisville is transferring to Arkansas. Many people consider him maybe one of the biggest transfers in the portal. Again, just under 18 points, 3 rebounds, over 4 assists a game, 41% shooter. Again, I don't like the turnovers. I don't like he's hanging around about 4 turnovers a game. Not great. He's not he's not a big guard. I don't know about his length. He's 6'3", 180 pounds, so he's not one of these 6'6", freakishly large guards that Musselman. Again, you could probably put him in if you want a smaller lineup on the floor. You want a little bit of speed and up tempo. Again, he's a North Carolina native. I didn't watch a ton on him, so don't think I did a ton of homework on L. I did not. I did watch a little bit, and what little I saw, of course, were highlights, and they're always impressive when they're highlights, right? I mean, that's what it's going to be great. They're highlights. That's what they do. When does Musselman leave Arkansas? Michael Burnett must be a Kentucky fan, or perhaps a butthurt, I don't know, LSU fan. Michael, who are you? Why do you want Musselman to leave? You got to be a hater if you want him to leave, man. You got to be a hater. All right. Let's get into baseball here just a second. Hang on just a second. We got an ad. Okay, stick it out there. It's going to be all right. Arkansas baseball gets the sweep on Tennessee this weekend. Golly. I think, we have a visitor. Look who it is. It's Daddy Dave. You love to see it. All right, Daddy Dave. Are you just going to hang out there? What's going on, Daddy Dave? Oh, you love to see it, man. Tennessee fans were talking that shit early on in the year. Michael Burnett says, I don't want him to leave, but if he doesn't get a ring with Arkansas, he will eventually leave, right? No. Listen, if you're getting to Sweet 16 and Elite Eights, you're going to be here for like a while, Michael. I don't know. I mean, listen, I'm sure you're a diehard Hog fan, okay? But I don't know if you want him to leave simply because he's not winning national titles. But, dude, it's not easy getting to the Sweet 16, and it's sure as hell not getting to the Elite Eight. And Musselman did that back-to-back years, so I don't know why don't know why you want him to leave. I want him here. I mean, he's just been incredible. I don't know. I just don't know. All right. I'm going to keep you here, Daddy Dave, while we talk about baseball. I'm going to keep you here for just a second. Arkansas gets the sweep. It was just so pretty. It was so gorgeous. They won game 1, 5-2. They were all pretty tight for the most part until game 3. But Tennessee catches all 3 L's. I was happy with 2. Of course, who wouldn't be? You take the series, and then you just It's cherry on top, baby. Dave, you did good. You did good. 3, you took care of your child. You showed him who's boss. 5-2 game 1. Game 2, you win 6-3. Game 3, 7-2. Outstanding, sir. Outstanding. All right. That's really all we got, Daddy Dave. All right, we'll see you later. Take it easy. Take it easy, sir. All right, he's gone. Yeah. Arkansas's got what? I think it's a 3-game lead over LSU in the SEC West. Not bad. This freshman pitcher stepped up. Yeah, who was the last guy on the mound? I know they had Wood pitching over the weekend who looked really good, had good command. Who was the last freshman pitcher? What's that kid's name? He looked really good. I mean, he just stepped up and took care of business. It was great. Yeah, it's good to see the freshmen. It's good to see freshman pitchers just take control, right? Yeah. No, hang on. Let me pull it up. Hang on. Box score. Pull it up for me. Christian Fouch. He only had a K. Yeah, Dylan Carter pitched 4.2 innings. He did give up 6 hits. He walked a batter, but he had 3 Ks. Arkansas with just 7 Ks in game 3. Thought it was more. For some reason, I thought they had like 10, but it looks like they had 7 Ks. Christian Fouch. And I mean, he was throwing, what'd they say, like 96 miles an hour? This is a freshman. 95, 96 mile an hour fastball. Like, this used to be a lot more uncommon in college baseball. It's like Dave just goes out and finds these guys. Incredible. Wow. Another super chat. My goodness. We're going for a record. Holy cow. Mr. T-Dub with a $50 super chat. This is now, I think we just broke a record for super chats. It was 150. I believe was our highest super chat for a midweek show. Or I'm sorry, for a week show, a Monday, Wednesday, or Friday show. I think we just topped it. We're at 169. Look at you guys. Mr. T-Dub, long-time listener and a good friend of the show. The offense will outplay Enos' Stone Age offense. All right, we're going to go ahead and transition into I was going to go into recruiting. We're going to transition into the spring game here. The skill positions are loaded and will show out. I'm afraid it won't be the case next year. By the way, Criswell is a beast. Singleton, let's see. Criswell is a beast. Excuse me. This carbonation's coming up. And Singleton will be KJ 2.0. Enos. Oh, Dan Enos. Enos he does equal a QB guru. Enos is not an offensive mastermind, says Mr. T-Dub. Okay. I agree with okay, this is it's difficult to kind of really break that whole thing down, right? Because it's not, because I hear what he's saying. That Enos is a quarterback, he knows what he's doing with the QBs, and he's dead on. I also agree with him where he says the skill positions are going to be loaded and they're showing out, and they will show out. Now, I don't know what you mean by I'm afraid it won't be the case next year. I don't know what you mean by that. So, and again, this is a conversation you and I can have after, maybe later today, Mr. T-Dub. But Are you saying that they've got all the weapons, but just basically that Dan Enos is not going to be the guy? He's not going to have a good year with his offense, right? That's what I'm getting out of what you're saying here. I will say that I disagree with that. I do think what I saw through spring camp, we saw it transition onto the field during the spring game. Now, There's only so much you could take away from that, right? There's only so much you can't walk away from a spring game and go, oh, well, they're going to be 10-2 next year. Oh, well, their wide receivers are going to be great. Well, their tight ends are like, you can say these things, but it doesn't mean they're true. It doesn't mean that everything that we witnessed during spring camp or in the what used to be known as the red-white game. Now it's just, I don't know, a scrimmage. By the way, the U of A did not do a good job of marketing the red-white I did it. They didn't do a very good job of marketing the scrimmage at all. I was a little I don't know. We may have to save that for a later show, or maybe we'll save that portion later on in this show. But I was not overly thrilled by by what was happening, like the way this whole thing kind of came together. And I don't know what they think the attendance might have been. Maybe one of you guys can help me out with that. I thought it might have been under 30,000. I'm not sure why you can't get, for a new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator, with all the new fantastic new additions that they have. I just don't know that they did a very good job kind of selling that to the public, right? I don't know. I get that you don't want to overhype just for a scrimmage. You don't want to overhype, period, as a university. You want to be – but I don't know. At the same time, like, your marketing game it's just got to be better. I don't think they did a very good job of pushing the scrimmage onto the public. I think they could have really – I think they always miss out on these types of opportunities. And I've noticed that since Hunter Yurchek's been here. That the scrimmages are just kind of a whatever thing, and I don't know, when you hear about some of these other schools with their large attendance, with who they have coming in with their attendances or the kind of other schools, to me, market the scrimmage as an opportunity to market the team for the next year, to kind of create some hype and excitement, and it feels like it kind of starts with the scrimmage. And under Hunter Yurchek, I feel like they don't treat the scrimmage that way, and it's kind of strange. They do the Woo Pig weekend, and they kind of tried to make a big deal out of that, but I guess from what I understand, they didn't really deliver. It didn't seem like a lot of – anyways, let's get back on. I kind of wanted to spend some time on that. Maybe that was it. Maybe that's all I'll say on that. But, no, I think what we saw during practice, we saw happen – we saw them get better throughout spring, and I think we saw kind of everything they were working towards, we saw find its way onto the field in the spring scrimmage, which is a good sign. It's a good sign that, like, it didn't feel like they were really pulling any punches. Like, everything felt like this is what we want to see, and I'm getting a little hot. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm getting a little hot here. I'm starting to sweat. Everything that we wanted to see, we saw, right? We saw the receivers who got better, progressively got better throughout spring camp. Because I'm going to tell you, those first 2 weeks were brutal. I really wasn't seeing much that had me excited, but at the same time, I told you guys here, that's kind of how it goes, and they're going to get better. You're going to start to see them. They're going to sync up. They're going to be on the same page. And we saw that. We saw them put together a fluid product on the field throughout spring camp. Guys got better. Backup quarterbacks got better. Cade Fortin was clearly QB2 for the first I don't know how many practices, and now the last couple of weeks, it's clearly been Criswell's job to lose, in my opinion. I do have the numbers here, by the way. I have what they did, and I'll get to that here in just a second. But, like, we saw everything kind of come to fruition on the field. Like, what we wanted to see, we saw on the field. For the most part, not everything. Dan Enos equals Dr. Thunder left in a hot truck. Oh, man. You're so brutal, Mr. T-Dub. The job that he did with I think with the offense, with the quarterbacks through spring, that does not mean that this is all going to translate in the fall. It does not mean that because, wow, they got better. It's different when you're doing it against guys you've been practicing all through spring camp. You know each other's tendencies. You know, like, what's coming at you. You know how athletic, how fast, what this guy over here is capable of because you've been playing against him every day. And that's why you can't take the spring scrimmage too seriously. But again, it was good to see the progress from start of where they were at in the beginning of spring camp all the way to the 15th of this month. We saw them get better in that, and they looked, I'm telling you, as someone who went to almost every single spring practice, you saw it where these guys were starting to make plays and look better. Criswell, Singleton at quarterback. KJ, I think, for the most part, he definitely got better, but he kind of, if anything, he looks more like his healthy self, like what he's capable of as far as, when he's healthy, what he's capable of doing, what he's capable of becoming. You saw that when he's healthy, when he's at his best. We saw him get to that point during this spring, right? Super Saiyan 2 for you Dragon Ball nerds out there, you dorks. Oh, you glorious dorks. But you kind of saw that in spring camp as he you got to think about everyone he's throwing the ball to throughout camp, right? To Slaw. Well, hang on, I'll just pull up all these names here. To Slaw, Nathan Bax, who, he was on the team last year, but he wasn't the primary tight end, right? You got to imagine there were steps there that were taken. Bryce Stevens, he didn't throw the ball to a ton last year. Broden, who was out most of camp, but whatever. Ty Washington, who was here last year, but, again, you're talking about a guy in a smaller role. Armstrong, Bakke, Centennia, Haas. These are guys that he had to learn, and they had to get in sync. They had to get the timing down with that quarterback to wide receiver relationship. So we knew naturally this was going to take place. Okay, let's get to the actual spring game, right? KJ is 9 of 18. He throws 50%, 131 yards, 2 touchdowns. Yards per catch, right under 15 yards. I thought a couple of KJ's throws, even though I thought he had a couple that were dropped, probably should have been more like, 11 of 18. I felt like he probably realistically would have been hovering around 60, 62%. A couple of not so well thrown balls. I thought Cade Fortin, as much as we sit here and talk about Criswell, Cade Fortin looks sharp. I mean, he was 5 of 7, 55 yards and a touchdown. Singleton was perfect, 4 of 4. Now, another thing we have to keep into consideration here is KJ, what was it, ones versus twos, and then, whatever. Man, I wish they would just – he said – I swear he said good on good. And then it was like ones versus twos and whatever. And I think we saw a mix of players. But again, Singleton goes 4 of 4, 66 yards. Also looked really fast. Singleton, again, I just kept walking away with the more I thought about it, the more I watched, like, man, he really could be. He could be QB3, but then Fortin has the kind of scrimmage that he had. And he had a pretty solid camp. Criswell, 8 of 12, 87 yards. He threw the interception that was picked off by Ladarius Bishop. By the way, Bishop needed a win. And I was glad to see that. I was glad to see him get that pick. I think it was a tip ball, if I remember right. Who was targeted a lot? This will probably tell you a little bit. Running backs were targeted, if I'm looking at this right, just 5 times, and they were all A.J. Green. And A.J. Green, who, much like Rocket, can play wide receiver, and he can catch the ball out in the flats, and he ended up 3 out of 5 targets with just 9 yards, but he did have a drop. This is the thing that I'm looking at on this sheet. I think there's actually 2 drops, but out of all the targets, right, let's count them up here. 4, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14, let's see, 17, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37. Out of 37, it looks like throws by whoever's throwing the ball. Doesn't matter who. Just 1 drop. Out of 37 throws, you had just 1 drop. Now, if Arkansas at any point last year threw the football in a game 37 times, how many drops do you think you walk away with? You probably walk away with about 4 drops. Conservatively, maybe 3. Matt Landers, Hazelwood, I don't recall dropping a lot of balls. Trey Knox dropped some, you know. You definitely end up with more than just one drop. Now, I thought I counted 2. What I'm looking at here, and this is what the rest of the media got to look at, I'm only seeing 1 drop. So close to 40 total throws. Again, if I'm looking at this target sheet right, close to 40 throws, just 1 drop. That ought to stand out. And yet you had 1 pick. Okay. All right. It was a tip ball. But then you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 touchdowns, five TDs thrown. That's not bad. I mean, I don't know what they did. I didn't get a chance to see the stat sheet a year ago, so I have no idea what they did last spring. You know, maybe I could find out. I think the goal is, and people keep calling this a pro-style offense, by the way, and I know that just ushers in those memories of Brett Bielema. I get that. I don't think it's going to be – I don't think what you see this year is going to be 2015, 2016. I mean, it's just not. You're going to see high tempo, up tempo. Yeah, they're going to line up under center, and we saw them do that a little bit in this scrimmage. They are going to line up under center. They have all kinds of different formations. They did one thing, which I've not really seen before. And I don't recall Enos doing this last time he was here, but they had the pistol formation. For anyone who doesn't know what the pistol is, that's okay. You got the quarterback and shotgun, and the running backs lined up directly behind the quarterback. They had trips right, and then a receiver by his lonesome off to the left, if I remember that image right. Because I went back and I watched what film I do have. I went back and watched it. They had trips right with a 4 spread and a lone receiver to the left, and of course the running back out behind the quarterback. But every time they ran, if they had 3 receivers on the field out of the pistol, they ran the ball. I think every time. I don't know that I saw them throw it a lot. Seemed like majority of the time, if they had a 4 wide set, they were running the ball. Now that's going to change. I think next year you're probably going to see them mix it up a little bit. You're going to see them. I told you guys all through camp, they're going to do all sorts of stuff out of the pistol. They are going to implement a little bit of RPO. It's not going to be the veer and shoot. It's not going to be RPO however many snaps a game. There is going to be some of that. You're going to see play action. You're going to see lone back sets. You're going to see a lot of 2 tight end sets, which is why they're going to have to bring in another tight end. They don't have a choice. By the way, Washington, a guy you need to have, he had 3 catches for 41 yards. 3 catches. Luke Haas had 1 catch for 8 yards. But he did have a touchdown, according to the stat sheet. No, that's right. Yeah, he had the touchdown. Washington did get hurt. You're going to see 2 tight end sets. You're going to see it a lot. But, I mean, at the end of the day, what matters the most? I know everyone wants the sexy offense. Everyone wants 4 or 5 wide sets. Or they want kind of what Kendall was giving us where, yeah, it was veer and shoot. It was RPO. But there was some exciting moments in that offense. That's what we want. I don't know if this offense is going to be chock full of 25-plus yards, downfield or not. I don't know if that's what this offense can do. We only saw, what was the longest reception? Centennia, by the way, that was a beautiful, great throw by KJ to Centennia, who was matched up against the transfer linebacker, whose name always slips my mind. Hang on. Greer. It was Greer, wasn't it? Yeah, it was Antonio Greer who's matched up on. But, Centennia, who in the postgame talked about that, he said, I saw the matchup. I knew what they're going to have to do. Of course, KJ knew it was coming, and they did it. They threw over the top. But I don't know how often we're going to see that sort of stuff. I don't know. I'm in the camp of I think they are. I think points-wise it might be about the same as what Kendall did. And I'm talking just throughout the regular season. I think it'll probably be – I think it'll be north of that. I think it'll be north of about 33. It might be at about 35 points a game. I feel like this offense is going to surprise some people in 2023. I really do. I think this offense is going to surprise some people. Dan Enos, he's worked with Sam Pittman before, right? You've got an experienced offensive line coach who, yeah, you've got some movement there, right? You're wondering about what's going on at tight end, and now you're going to have as many questions as ever. Now we don't know what's going on with Washington. Hopefully that was just a bad ankle sprain and he'll be back. Sam Pittman said he wasn't really sure. That's going to put a lot of pressure. And you got Shamar Easter who's going to check in. You'll have him available next fall camp. But, man, it would have been nice to have him through spring, wouldn't it, to have Shamar Easter. But we didn't really see the tight ends put on much of a show throughout, I would argue, through most of camp. There was nothing the tight end room did that wowed me. Yeah, Haas, I talked about it. When he's open, he's wide open. And again, he was targeted twice. He did have a touchdown, but he had one catch for 8 yards, which was the score. Washington had, he was 3 for 3. He caught everything that was thrown to him. Backs had a catch. There was nothing out of that tight end room. And listen, tight ends are going to be utilized. We know Enos is going to use tight ends. But having said all that, wide receivers look dynamic through the end of fall camp. Spring camp. Not all spring camp, through the end of spring camp. And then you kind of saw, Tisla had that catch for 11 yards. But the guy that stood out to me, I thought from start to finish, I kept telling everyone around me who would listen, and I'm talking about at practice, Centennia stood out. Now, did he get better through spring camp? Yeah, he got better, and we saw it. That's what I'm talking about, along with Criswell and Singleton as well. That's what I'm talking about when I say we saw them get better, and that did translate onto the field. That is a very good sign. Centennia looks like the star. Centennia looks like the star. Now, again, I don't want someone coming at me if Arkansas goes 5-7 and their offense is a shithole. I don't want someone coming at me saying, "Oh, Ty, look, you said they were going to be great." I'm not guaranteeing anything. I never do. I don't do that. I don't live in that world. I'm going to tell you what I saw. The offense looked like the capability is there to be great, and we saw it in spring camp. We saw it in the spring scrimmage. The offense, I thought, was on another level. Now, offensive line giving up 10 sacks. Some of that was, if you touch the quarterback, he's sacked, right? It's so hard to judge how the offensive line, I'm going to leave that up to Coach Kennedy and Sam Pittman. I'd love to hear from them, come fall, come August when they're talking about the offensive line. I'd love to hear his take on that. Now, I'm going to tell you the defensive line it might be one of two things. It's either they look better than they really are, or, they're as good as advertised, right? Landon Jackson had 2 sacks. Nico Davier with 2 sacks. Torrin Carter with a sack. Zach Williams, man, I was kind of impressed with Zach. He looks so hard to block. Brooks Both with a sack. John Hill, good to see him. John Hill got a sack. I don't know, Mason Shook. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. He had a sack. Jordan Crook and Trahan Jeffcoat. Jeffcoat had a play. I don't remember who he was matched up with at left tackle. I don't think it was Patrick Kutas. He had a play where he just blew it right up. He just kind of pushed the tackle into the play. Jeffcoat could be a problem. I don't know that he's going to be a guy that's going to end up with 8, 10, 12 sacks this year. I don't know, but he certainly through camp looked. Again, he's another one of those guys that got better as camp went on. He looked stronger as camp went on. But the guy that just continued to look good and showed it on film, showed it there live at the game, was Landon Jackson, number 40. He had 2 sacks, one for -5, one for -5, -9. Him and Nico Davier. Nico, who's I think kind of been quiet through spring camp, was impressed, man. I went back and I watched both those guys. Landon just blows plays up. And not only did he have the 2 sacks, he had a screen play that he busted up. Really impressed with Landon Jackson. John Hill, Pupal didn't have a sack, but he did have a TFL. TJ Metcalf had a TFL. Quincy McAdoo had a TFL. You also had a couple of fumbles, both of which I think were by Malachi Singleton. Kyle Thompson recovered 1. Malachi recovered his own. Dallas Young, this is where it gets mixed up. They have 3 pass breakups on the sheet here. Dallas Young, Antonio Greer, and Jalen Lewis, with Ladarius Bishop with that 74-yard pick. I don't know. I saw 2 for sure that were broken up. I don't know about, maybe 3. I don't know. But so I wouldn't take too much away from how the offensive line looked. We know that, again, they're settling on, and they didn't really settle on Kutas at right tackle until, I don't know, halfway through spring. Now he's going to have – he had the rest of spring. He had the spring scrimmage. Now he's going to have the rest of the summer to condition his body to further prepare himself mentally and physically. That's a part of it. When you hear these kids talk and when you talk to the coaches, that's part of it. It all starts in the offseason, both mentally and physically, as you develop your body for your role, wherever it is, whatever it is on the roster, whatever it is you're asked to, whatever's being asked of you on the depth chart, you condition your body to be that, to play that role, both mentally and physically. So now Kutas and all these other guys with all these other position changes, right? They're going to have the rest of the summer to do that, and then they're going to have all of fall camp. So this is why, and again, Kutas, who's a sophomore? It's not like we're talking about a freshman coming in and having to do that. He's got a year under his belt already under Sam Pittman and Coach Kennedy. I'm excited about what's going on as far as the future of the position, the future of the offense, at least year one. Now, if you're going to ask me, Ty, do you have faith in what Enos can do beyond year one? I don't know. I've said that here before, too. That's not exactly news. I don't know beyond year one. I feel like this offense, it almost feels like it's tailor-made for someone like Dan Enos to come in and just have a superb year. I think they're capable of doing it. I think they will do it. I think this offense is going to turn some heads. Now they've got to be smarter with the football. We know now that the RPO game is not as big of something. You're not going to see the RPO as much as you did a year ago. So now KJ's going to have to. His role has been expanded, I think, to some degree, because he doesn't have the RPO to lean on. That RPO, it's all about misdirection, right? It's all about making sure, who's biting on what, taking the read. You're either running it, handing it off, or throwing it. Now you're doing things a little bit differently. You're seeing rollouts. We saw KJ. I know for a fact we saw Singleton with a rollout. He had a couple beautiful rollout plays. You're seeing more of that. You're seeing more just straight up play action. Again, you're in shotgun, you're in the pistol, you're under the center. The quarterback's responsibilities, I think, have actually expanded. What you're needing him to do, and maybe in some degree, we won't see him run the ball 16 damn times a game. I get that that's something that Arkansas has been able to do for the last 2 years with KJ, is let him run the ball 16 times, get sacked a couple times a game. So you're talking about 18 to 20 body shots a game. That is a hell of a lot on a quarterback. I don't care how big you are, how tough you are. That's a lot of wear and tear. Maybe you're going to go away from that where you don't need KJ to do as much with his legs. Now, that part we really don't know, because in spring we saw KJ tuck and run. We saw him tuck and run in the scrimmage. We saw him tuck and run in fastball during spring camp. We certainly did see that. But are we going to see him actually run the ball 16 times a game? I think not. You're going to rely on just handing the ball off to your backs, more short and intermediate throws. And I do think they are going to try the deep ball a little more this year, especially when you got someone like Isaiah Centennia, or you have someone that can one-hand 50-50 jump balls like Tesla. And another guy we didn't talk about who quietly had a really strong spring camp. It didn't show in the game, in the scrimmage. Armstrong, who was targeted 3 times, 2 grabs for 25 yards. If you go back and watch I think it was his first catch, he bounces off a defender, and he catches the ball, and the defender hits his back. He's able to keep his momentum. He turns around and turns it upfield for another 15 yards. I think the possibilities are here for this team to really be something special. I am a little bit concerned about overall team speed at the wide receiver position outside of outside of Centennia. I am a little bit concerned about how fast are the rest of these wide receivers. Tesla struggled catching deep balls all spring camp. I don't know that I saw him catch a single deep ball. I don't know that I saw really anybody catch a lot of deep balls throughout spring camp. So, again, that's either a testament to they're not going to test the waters deep, or maybe they're hiding that aspect in their offense. They don't want people writing about it. Again, Sam Pittman does like secrecy. He does like a little bit of, I don't know. You think one thing's going to happen in terms of like your preparation for what you expect Arkansas to be, and then you get something else entirely different. We know they don't, there's just certain things that they They want to control what they can control, and part of that is the visuals. It's the visual aspect of what is actually happening with the football program to a degree. Most of the time, you get what you get, and Sam can be a pretty straight shooter in when he's talking with the media. But I do think, and this isn't unheard of, they're not going to give you everything in spring. They're not. They're not going to show you their full hand. Dan Enos is not going to show you everything. But like I said at the beginning of this, when we started talking about the scrimmage, I do think for the most part what you saw is probably going to be what you get. But there's some key things I think they didn't show us, and they did that on purpose. Let me scroll up here. Did we miss some super chats? I probably did. I apologize. Let's see. Anyone else pumped for our trenches and defense? Wow, another super chat. Oh, my God. Break that record, Ty. My goodness. Going to be a record year. Thank you. Appreciate that. Holy cow. Our running backs got the best hands of any running back room in the country, says Paul. Is it more of a pro formation power spread? RD, that's a good thing. So I was thinking about this. It's not a pro style offense. Like, not primarily because they'll go up tempo out of shotgun. You know, they'll do some things that a pro-style offense doesn't typically do. You do have teams in the pros that run a pro-style offense, but they still run out of shotgun. They still do things out of shotgun. I think it's more like a I don't know, a multiple offense. It feels to me more like a pro-multiple offense where they are going to line up under center a little bit, and they are going to have the running back lined up behind, right? You're not going to see a lot of strong eye. You're not going to see fullback or tight end lined up at the fullback spot. I don't think you are anyways. Who knows, right? I want 22 personnel. As of now, who do you think is starting in the secondary? I'll have to get back to you on that. Because I think there's a couple things they're doing in the secondary. I'll have to get back to you. The DBs were physical. I didn't see a lot of plays with them out of the picture and out of position. Secondary looked better. I'm going to say it again. I think Woodson. I'm not going to look at year one, what they do on the field, and judge him too harshly. You know, but I will say he had his work cut out for him. I think he did it fantastic. I think the whole defense did a fantastic job. I mean, I really did liked what they. There was an emphasis on communication with the secondary, and you can tell that these guys really took to it. I think in the early on, I think they had a little bit of trouble with the communication with the rest of the secondary, but I think later on you started to see it and hear it a little bit more, and they were all kind of. I think for the most part, they were playing in sync in the secondary. I love when Fishman comes in here and says stuff, and then I go back later and be like, no, you was wrong. What did Fish say? Let's look at our odd soul poll. By the way, as we wrap up here, we're at that hour mark. In 1 hour, we're going to have QB Spotlight, Stephen Hamner for Patreon. If you're a Patreon supporter, you're going to have access to that live show. You're going to want to be there. Stephen's going to do a fantastic job. Odd Soul Poll. Odd Soul, located on Emma Street here in Springdale. Fantastic pies, local IPAs, you name it. Boy, they got it in terms of what's on tap. If you like some of these local IPAs, Odd Soul Craft Bar and Pizzaria, located on Emma Street in Springdale, Arkansas. Great staff, great people, great environment. That's the Odd Soul. Let's look at this poll here. Arkansas offense will average 35-plus points per game in 2023. 62% of you say yes. We're going to go ahead and end that poll. So there you go. Look at you guys. Pretty good numbers on the votes. Not bad. Hey, at least on 3rd and 10, we aren't going to see 0-yard throws almost every time, says Aaron Owens. Is that a wrestling name, Aaron Owens? If it is, I dig it. Tusky says offense looks sharp under Enos, and Singleton looked impressive for a true quarterback. Yeah, and I was impressed. I don't know if there's anything the quarterbacks did where I wasn't like, okay, that was good. Like, it seemed like every throw, not every throw, 70% of those throws to me were good. They weren't great. There were a couple that connection from KJ to identify coverage like he did so quickly and to hit Centennia. It wasn't a perfect throw, but it was a good enough throw, and it ended up in a touchdown. That was a good job of them identifying where the linebacker was going to cover. Overall, yeah, I definitely liked what I saw. By the way, rushing stats: Rocket Sanders 12 carries, 50 yards. AJ Green 8 carries, 56 yards and a touchdown. AJ Green, I thought, to me, looked the best among all the running backs. I was a little surprised how often they ran Rocket as the game went on, as the scrimmage went on. I kind of thought, why are we still seeing him on the field? Please God, we don't need another big injury. And I know if there's any position where you feel like, okay, we lost that guy, but it's next guy up. Yeah, it's running back, but it's the running back room. But Rocket is the man. You're talking about the second leading rusher in the SEC, who's poised to have an incredible year this year. AJ Green, I thought, looked the best among all the running backs. I just thought he looked, and I'm not just saying that because of his yards per carry and his touchdown. He had the only touchdown carry of the running backs. I just thought he looked like he was shot out of a cannon. Rashad Dubinion, 14 carries, 47 yards. I said to you guys, I thought Dubinion was going to be running back 2. I think we're going to have a bit of a battle behind Rocket in terms of who gets the second most carries this year. So KJ did carry the ball 8 times. Jacoby 4 times for 20. It says minus 23 yards. Well, I guess those sacks, yeah. Singleton had 6 carries for 4 yards. We saw him run the ball. I thought he looked pretty good. Samuel Bakke, who had that 18-yard run. I think it was an end around for a touchdown. Samuel Bakke quietly had a good day. 3 catches, 25 yards, but he had they called that touchdown back, didn't they? Yeah, he had a touchdown. They called it a sack. I think they called it a sack, and I think that should be up for dispute. That should have been 4 catches for however many yards, maybe 45, 50 yards, and a touchdown. But he also had that end around for, where is it? Why did I lose it? There it is, 18 yards for a touchdown. Total tackles, Jordan Crook had 10, Carson Dean with 8, Pooh Paul had 7, Torrin Carter had 7, Nico Devier with 6, and then the list just kind of goes on from there. But again, your sacks, you had 10 total. I don't know, again, how many of those would have actually ended up being sacks. Again, that's something we have to take into consideration. Little looked good. He had a 59-yarder, 59 yards in the middle of the field. He also had a 47 and a 40. Can he do that in front of 70,000 fans? That's, different, but still, you love to see it. So I think that's it. All right, that's it. We did it. Oh, my goodness, you guys are rock stars. You guys are awesome. Oh, that hurts. Super chats, holy cow, we broke a record, $226 on a Monday. That's how you start your Monday. I appreciate you guys. Trouble with the curve, or trouble with the curve, as I should say it properly. And then, of course, Mr. T-Dub. You guys are awesome. Aaron, hang on. Scrolling up here. Oh, it won't let me scroll up anymore. I don't understand why it doesn't just let me look at the super chat, like just the super chats on its own. Why don't you let me do that? But everyone who participated in the super chats, I appreciate you. You guys who liked and shared the content. Those of you who I think I got all your questions, most of them, anyways. It's not letting me scroll up anymore, but interesting. Okay. Ty, with the latest commitment, Devo will not be back, says Charles Harper. Now we just need a 6'11" big man. Yeah, I don't know how they have room. I assume Devo is I'm assuming he's gone. Is it transfer portal? I don't know. I don't think you're asking him to leave, are you? If you're Musselman, can you upgrade from Devo when you consider what he does? Man, that's a tall order. I'm not saying it's impossible. I just don't see Musselman asking him to leave. That's interesting. I don't know that we'll ever know the real truth. I love Hudson Henry. Lockdown safety. What? All right. Yeah, appreciate you guys. For those of you who are Patreon supporters, I'll see you at 1 o'clock here in just under an hour on the Patreon stream. Looking forward to doing it. Looking forward to having Stephen Hamner on of QB Spotlight, and he's going to really break down what he saw and everything. So Ty can get some more high-quality cigars. That's right, Michael, I can. Or it's going to go towards that studio room. And just behind this wall, that room, one day, the plan is sometime this June. Ty, you're right, leaving Rocket in with third and fourth teams was. Oh yeah. Yeah, I didn't understand that. I didn't understand why we kept seeing Rocket. I didn't get that. Like why? I get that he didn't have a ton of carries, but why are we still seeing him? Why not let some of those? I mean, they've got like how many running backs on the roster? Let some of those younger guys get some carries. I didn't really get that. I mean, you're risking, and I don't want to bring up any bad. I don't want to say. I'm just going to say you did have the Raleigh Williams injury in a spring game. And I think if I remember right, it was supposed to be a red-white scrimmage, and then they had to go indoors. And Raleigh, now it was a different scenario, right? It wasn't because they kept giving him the ball. I think he got hurt just doing drills or something. I don't remember exactly, but it did happen. You lost Torrin Carter last year. We've had some big injuries in the spring, and sometimes they're just unavoidable. They're going to happen. But I feel like you could control that scenario where it's like you give him 7 or 8 carries, if that many, and then you just don't let him touch the ball again. Then you let A.J. Green and DeBinion and some of those other guys get involved. So, yeah. Are we going to talk about how bad the announcers were? Yeah, I try not to hate on the announcers too much, but I agree it was it's kind of brutal to listen to. I would have rather listened to the radio. Oh, give me Phil, give me Chuck. Yeah. All right, that's gonna do it. I appreciate you guys. To the sponsors, Direct Service Overhead, the Garage Door Company, Odd Soul, and the Apex Tattoo Studio. Everyone who donated through Super Chat, and of course all the Patreon supporters. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. All right, okay. Oh, I don't know why that ad just played on its own, but yeah, I'll see you guys in the Patreon live Wednesday. Hang on. Wednesday, we're going to have Otis Kirk on at 11 o'clock to get us caught up on recruiting. You're going to want to be there. You don't want to miss that. Otis Kirk's going to get us caught up. All right, now we can switch over. There we go. All right. Woo Pig. I'll see you guys around.